So super briefly, how did the project start?
Well, super briefly, it was very easy. I just started my PhD and it was part of my research.
But why this project? How did you find this story? I mean, as a writer as well.
Oh.
I know you like Dostoevsky, but did you come to this?
Uh, when I did my master's in screenwriting, I was writing a feature film script, which was a full adaptation of Crime and Punishment. And I really loved the character of Sonia. And that's when I first thought that it would be great to make something just about her as a protagonist.
And weren't you worried that it was going to be not enough relevant for present times?
No, because I've done research and I've seen how many connections the novel, which was, by the way, written in the 19th century Russia, how many connections it has with the modern day Britain. And this all shocked me so much that I just thought that I really need to make this project.
See, there are so many vital topics being discussed on telly, and especially to do with minorities, LGBT plus. There's so much awareness growing every day, and yet something as long-lasting and fundamental as issues within or parallel to education hasn't, like this one, hasn't come out before, or no, it hasn't exploded yet. So that's something else that I'm really thrilled about this film, is that it's very ahead of its times in a way, in terms of reporting something that hasn't caught up with the world yet. So we really have an opportunity to shed a light on something very strange, very unusual, very discomforting in a way. So to me, that's not just a privilege in order to be able to tell that story, but also an incredible exercise of sensibility. You know, it's a hard story to tell.
And don't forget Me Too.
The Me Too movement, yeah. There is a controversial aspect to the film,
Yeah,
which is something that we're really aware of.
Not exactly everyone will love or like Sonia, but this is not the main goal.
I agree. I think she's a bit of an anti-hero because she has this good character, and we all root for her because she's our protagonist, and yet her decision could be really misinterpreted and misunderstood. So there is plenty of space for debate and analysis of the story. But really, what I think I told you before, or I touched in the director's statement or something, what I like the most is how we are observing a character, a protagonist in this case, taking the wrong decisions for the right reasons.
You know what? I really loved something you've said recently. And I thought that maybe we should make this as the tagline of the film.
Okay, which one's that?
Is it right to do wrong for the right reason?
Is it right to do wrong for the right reason? Yeah, exactly. That's what the film asks. And I said that. I'm impressed. That's exactly what makes characters fascinating. They're wrong choices for the right reason. Most great characters have done wrong choices for the right reasons, and I think Sony has that potential to be a memorable protagonist.
So for me, the main thing for the message of the film is to look more at the society which is around her. The society is wrong.
What pushed her to make it happen, basically?
Yes. That she didn't have.
It is a bit of a social criticism. Yes, there is a bit of that element. There is a bit of what do we say at the beginning? A bit of Ken Loach in all of this, but really, it's seen from a very personal perspective, from a very character-driven perspective. It's not going to be social criticism, full stop, social analysis. It's very related to who she is, what she believes, and how she intends to deal with it.
One of the fundamental thoughts of Dostoevsky was that not a person is the reflection of a society, but a society is the reflection of people.
Yes.
So in this case, any environment, any society can be transformed by the people of whom it consists.
Yeah.
That was Dostoevsky thought, and that I really would like to show in our film.
I think the film does that already, and I think we're all on the same page with that, because we're not analysing how the masses behave, we're analysing how these people behave within their frame, within their network, and that becomes a social experiment in a way.
What do you think of Sonia's family as a director?
At the beginning, I thought that family was a bit too much. It was an over-the-top family because of the nature of the story. It's all compressed. It's all happening in 3 days, really, isn't it? And there was so much going against the protagonist, going against Sonia, that was coming from within the family. And so they are literally destroying the poor thing, and they don't even notice that they're doing that. And the more I worked on it, the more I observed it, the more I realized that actually it's a very common situation. Some of my best friends have got a terrible background in terms of a loving family, an incredibly loving family, but so many actions that the family has taken have affected my friend's life in a very difficult and personal way. So we worked a bit on the delivery, haven't we, on terms of how the family behaves in practical terms within the script, within the social family environment, and fine-tuned a little bit so they wouldn't feel that it was over the top or it was just for the sake of the story. And I think is absolutely accurate to show how hard it can be for a young person who has a different mentality, a different approach to life, to not notice that most of the difficulties come from within. We give Sonia a reason to be understood and to be relatable and to be in a difficult moment and situation within her life. And we truly focus on, at least the approach I'm going for is truly focus not just on Sonia, but on the family, how the mother sees this situation, and how her younger sister, the elder of the other 3 siblings she has, perceived this world. Because she's what, 11-year-old, Polly?
Yeah.
And Polly's just old enough to understand most of the things that are going on within the family. And she'll be a key to the perception of the audience, of how the audience relates to Sonia and how they will tag along with this underdog story.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's hard to call it underdog because it's not like she goes and wins something amazing. In a way, she goes and loses something amazing. But at the same time, she finds something else. She finds something very personal within herself. I keep using with you the example of Breaking Bad. It's a very different story, but at the same time, we've got this protagonist that keeps on doing worse and worse things for something he believes is right. And the most fascinating thing of that is that for most of the time, throughout the 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, we agree with him. Despite he does all this, the audience agrees with Walter White, despite his terrible behavior. Not always.
Yeah, because we fell in love with him in the beginning, because in the very beginning he was like our Sonia. He was in the situation to do something wrong for the right reason.
He's the victim,
And
he's the underdog.
in the beginning he was not the same as he was in the end.
Yes.
But we kind of developed with him through all the seasons, and that's why we kind of loved him from the beginning.
Absolutely, and we've got much less time because obviously it's a short film, but I think the concept is similar. Well, we started working on the storyboard, we started working on the first scene, which is the one that sets up the first family scenes, that sets up a bit of the family dynamics. We start to learn about the characters. We have given really, about a minute and a half to this scene to condense every single character behavior within it, so that within one scene, the audience has learned about all of them. They get a good overview of each character, who they are, what role they have in the story, and how they're gonna interfere in a way. What is their flaws? Everything comes out in this first moment. and it's a brilliant setup scene. It sets up not only the characters but the economical struggle.
Yes, because we see these 6 people squeezed into tiny living room, which is at the same time dining room and bedroom and kids
Absolutely.
room and almost kitchen. And yeah.
So it's an excellent start to the story.
Have you talked recently with Danilo, our production designer?
Yes, we worked extensively on. Well, he's done some incredible research looking at all types of social backgrounds and from working class to benefits and council apartments and so on. And what we're really trying to do is to show in one wide-angle shot everything. In one shot, you as an audience, you as the viewer, you can understand what's going on. You'll see everything well organized in massive piles. They ran out of storage, they ran out of space. It's very clear that it's a claustrophobic, small environment, but nevertheless, it is really well organized, really well practiced, because they've been in this situation for quite a while now. They know how to live, they know how to do their best within this. And Danilo has done a very good job in terms of observing these elements and in bringing to me solution in terms of conveying as much as possible in the least amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're working on every scene, how to really bring as much as possible in the shortest scene that we can.
Mm-hmm. I see. You also talked with our composer, Johan. I haven't heard about your conversation yet. So.
Johan, our composer, started working on some music, some underline score, and we had a very interesting discussion in terms of what kind of music, what kind of flavor we want for the film. And we took great inspiration, not so much in terms of the type of music, but the approach in composing that the documentary For Sama had. They started working on their soundtrack as a leading narrative, leading the energy of the story, and then they realized that the protagonist, and which was a mother with a toddler with her, was such a strong character, was all about her emotions, that they stripped the music back and they focused on this visceral Balkanic strings and very basic sounds that would accompany the subtext, that would expose the subtext of the mother. So we used a similar approach. We're going for the same thing for Sonia. We're looking at Sonia, we're looking at the subtext of her emotion. Everything she's not showing with actions, because she's behaving like the perfect human being in a way, and yet there's so much going wrong underneath. And that's what the music will slowly expose, all this pain and difficulty under the surface. And Johan has come back with some some very rudimental initial sounds, which are gentle and internal. They really feel they come from inside your guts, even as a viewer when you watch and listen to it. It comes from the inside, and I think that's an excellent start.
So you liked his first experiments?
The approach is excellent.
Okay, great. I'm happy. We are now in the very exciting process, which is called casting and auditions.
Indeed.
Can you tell anything about your experience with this so far?
Well, you brought to me a large array of actors, female actors, for the role of Sonia. It's been a great experience so far. Some incredible tapes, some very, very strong interpretations, which has been a pleasure to go through and really get to understand through their work as well what Sonia could be like. And we selected quite a few, and we started the auditions themselves, and we talked to a few actresses, and it's been fantastic. So far, really pleased with the process, really happy with the people that showed up and that is contributing to our project.
I was not expecting to have such a massive nationwide response. I'm telling everyone that we had so far more than 500 applications for the part. And not everyone, some of the actresses I remember when you were writing the feedback, you said, oh my God, she's an amazing actress, but she's not looking like Sonia. So kind of, we need to say no, but I'm gutted because she's a really good actress. I remember a couple of moments you saying this. So like in the first stage, we needed really to find someone who is, first of all, looking as we see Sonia.
We've had some flexibility. It's not all about the look, obviously, but there are connotations that we need for Sonia. There are some elements of one's not so much appearance, but the first impression that somebody might give that are relevant to Sonia. So yes, we had to do some of that selection too.
Most of the actresses who were recording self-tapes for us, they were saying how they enjoyed working on this character. And even, a couple of actresses emailed me after rejection and said, is there any opportunity to watch the final film when it's ready? Because I'm so much interested. So I feel like we're getting fans now.
I know. I think we're right on topic. The subject matter is really relevant. The point of view is really relevant. The way we're gonna talk about the issue is way less mainstream pretend feminism that is available out there. So people really can see why this film is worth making. And then obviously there's the script, which you've written so well and we've worked on it so much, and it's really making a big difference. Anybody who gets across the script will really go like, wow, this is a film. And our actors that have been participating in the casting obviously haven't seen the entire thing. They've seen some snippets and some scene of it, but it was enough to really get them to appreciate the work.
I've got a lot of feedback from actresses about almost all of them are mentioning the impressive character arc. Just from the scenes they read, they haven't even read the whole script. They just read the several scenes for self-tapes and listened to your instructions of the character and watched some of our episodes. And they build in their head this impression of the character. And all of them mention that they would love to play it because it's very complex and multidimensional, like so many layers. And I even want to quote you what one of the feedbacks from one of the actresses was, who we're trying. I think the character of Sonia is a refreshing take on a woman from a working class background. As an actor, I have been severely disillusioned by the lack of female working class characters who are not one-dimensional, stereotypical, and lack complexity.
Now we're hitting the nail. I think is the right film to make at this time.
This one I like also. I don't believe that in real life there are straightforwardly strong vs weak people, and Sonia is a complete embodiment how truly complex, messy, confusing and contradictory human nature really is.
Not bad.
Do you think we're close to finding our ideal Sonia, or?
It's hard to tell because we have candidates already which I would be really happy with, but I think this film goes beyond me being happy. It needs to be truly the right person, the right character, and it's such a complex and potentially controversial story to portray. So it requires finesse, incredible amount of finesse and care in the approach. So the right person will make a massive difference. Again, we've got some excellent candidates. I think we're already we're in a very good place in terms of getting closer. I don't know when you say, yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Honestly, we need to explore every option. Is a big project, is a difficult project, is an incredible film, and it needs an incredible lead actor. Or it might not be as great. Having this extended pre-production might seem a bit crazy for a short film, but given the complexity of the story and the ambition of where we want the film to go, it's been a godsend. It's been very helpful to be able to focus more, to flesh out ideas, to be more creative, to explore more avenues. And so far, the extra time has been paying off. So hopefully, it won't feel just like, oh, we had to wait, we couldn't shoot, we had to wait. No, we just invested that time differently, in the same way, into the film. We do have new crew members. Very exciting to have Jackie on board, our new DOP. She's incredible. She's done documentaries, she's done features, she's doing short films all the time. She has a very, very good eye for color, and the way she expresses through mise-en-scène in general, through the how can I phrase it, the composition and the blocking within the frame. We're on the same page with that. I really want to work with blocking more than with hundreds of shots of different cinematography approaches. It's going to be a film that works around the movement within the frame, and she's totally on board with that. She understands exactly what I mean. She understands what colors I couldn't even put into words. I was trying to explain certain things, such as the color palette that an English city might have, and how that might not help the storyline. And we said, yeah, but that's the color of the city, what can we do about it? And we discussed it, and we really managed to flesh out what we need and what helps and what doesn't and what we can change. And she's really, really been already incredibly helpful to the process. As the director of this film, I would like to know if we're ever going to shoot it, consider how the virus is going. No, just joking. Like, what are the updates? What do you think? When do you think we're actually going to be filming this?
That's such a complicated question in the current situation.
We had to postpone it twice, haven't we?
Yes, first of all, we planned to shoot it in October. This summer we realized that it's not going to happen, and we postponed it to February, because in summer I was sure that by February the virus will be gone. Now I understand that even February is not going to happen, unfortunately, because I want our cast and crew to be safe.
I mean, there are film productions running now. It's possible, but there are some limitations, aren't there?
Yeah, mostly big productions are actually running. They have enough budget to either test the whole cast and crew every day, or they can, for example, quarantine whole cast and crew for 2 weeks before the filming starts. Such small and low budget production as ours cannot afford to do the same. And because most of our cast and crew are living in different parts of the country, they will be coming together just to film Transgressing, and it will be definitely more than several households, so it will just not be safe. And I decided for the second time to postpone our filming to June. I'm actually quite hopeful about those dates. I think that with the success of vaccination or without the success of the vaccination, both June and July look pretty safe months for filming. Another problem with postponing is our post-production is squeezing and squeezing, because the deadline is still the same. I
Yeah.
have an ambition to send our film to Berlinale Film Festival, and so we need to finish it by November 2021. So the further we put the production, the less time we will have to edit, grade, make music and sound for the film.
Yeah, I think that's our last window, isn't it? June.
As I said, I'm very positive about June, so we are planning as much as we can to shoot this film in June.
Yeah, what's happening in the next few months?
Well, we continue casting. We have planned auditions for December and January, and I hope we will have an actress for Sonia in February to announce and to talk with her in the next season of this series. We are also working on film poster with our production designer Dan, and in January we will have the first poster ready. And you continue working with both Dan and our DOP Jackie on the style and tone of the film. Okay, thank you very much for talking with me, and let's make a great film.
Looking forward to it. The punchline that you use when you put the job out, the job for director out, you said something, you described the film really briefly with something, this Christian student who is really attached to her family has to do something as extreme as considering selling her virginity to sustain the family. And I was like, what? And that captured my attention instantly. And I thought there was massive amount of potential to explore the character. And when then I read the script with you and I saw that there was a good development, the character had motivations, and it wasn't just out of the blue, it wasn't just an exploitation of a story, it was a genuine coming to that conscious decision, and that sold it for me.
Do you remember the moment when I sent you this website with the virginity selling thing? And what was your first reaction? Like, what? I thought you just invented this.
Yeah, almost. I knew that existed, but I always thought it was an underground world, an illegal secret society. I would have never expected to be just out in the open, something that it's socially acceptable, and it just happens. And that shocked me, and it'll be a challenge actually in the film to make it feel that as if it's a real problem and not just some over the top situation that we created for the film.
This was another research I've done before I started to write the screenplay. I was shocked to find out that 5% of British students at some point of their lives worked in the sex industry to make their ends meet.
I think there was a BBC interview that you sent me to listen to, and there was this girl speaking of when she did some sex work back in during the studying times, and she said, why would I work in a cafe for literally every minute that I'm not in a lecture and make a quarter of the money that I could do in 2 hours in a strip club or something like that. I can't remember exactly the details, but she said that her time was so much more valuable that compromising her image and her body potentially doing that kind of work was less of a compromise than wasting all of her time. That was incredible to hear. I did not expect to hear that.
And this all was connected with another topic which was important for me in this story, which is educational and social inequality.